Hi guys, so I'm still playing around with things. I would like to do some, not live, but maybe I'll do live eventually, but where I'm flipping the cards. The reason why I do things this way is because I'm at work during the work week, and a lot of times I do stuff on my lunch. And then the weekend I just spend time with my family, but, I would like to do something a little bit different here and there. Anyway, let me know if you like this. So there's 3 little groups, and this is kind of like, kind of like a different energy. I feel like kind of like a past, present, future type of energy, but maybe kind of like, things that, the situation, how we need to work on it, and then, what the goal kind of is. Take it how it resonates with you. So the first card is from the Mystical Shaman Oracle, and it's number 13 with the crow. The crow is the keeper of universal law and the law of truth. And it says that the crow teaches us to walk our talk, and kind of like that what you say is, who you should be, right? It also kind of hints at, your beliefs kind of create your reality, and the fact that if you can reinforce those beliefs in yourself, if they're good or bad, that kind of tells you how your situation is going to go, right? Because the invitation says, when you speak the truth, practice truth, eventually everything you say becomes true. Your power to co-create with the truth is the universal law. Correct what is untrue in your life without judgment. Let truth set you free. So I feel like this is a lot about maybe you've kind of kept yourself down or kept yourself in the shadows. Or maybe this is talking about really kind of expressing who you are. I think a lot of this lately energy has been about, expressing your freedom and authenticity in a way that we never have before. I feel like it's hugely important that we do this right now. I think people need to understand that self-love and self-empowerment is greatly important to how society runs. I feel like when we, don't feel good about ourselves, that's when we get people to kind of dump on others and treat others like crap, right? Finding that inner truth and expressing it only encourages others to do the same. And then we have the 8 of Pentacles. 8 of Pentacles is doing the work with intention, and sometimes it can be like doing hard work, and a lot of times the 8 of Pentacles can mean that your hard work is going to come into fruition, but it can also be doing something with skill and in detail so that you kind of ensure that something is happening. So it's, that craftsmanship type of energy, and, you're working towards something, but you're doing it in the right way. Sometimes we can overdo that and work a little too hard, but I don't feel like that's what this is saying. And then underneath that, we have the 5 of Cups, and we have the Lovers. Now, don't get excited. I know sometimes people can look at that as like a loss in like a relationship, but this being kind of like a past type mindset, I feel like this is kind of saying that we're working on a mindset of lack, whether this is in relationships or it's decision making, or, really about that part of who we think that we are. A lot of times the Lovers is a decision making. It can be our connection, but it can also be that inner self. That's the connection of our, our hardworking and doing side, and our romantic and expressive side. So maybe this is kind of telling us that, we are kind of working on that. Somebody is working on this energy. I really feel like that, especially with that Crow card telling us that when you say things and you live your life a certain way, that becomes your truth. So it's kind of like, remember that, when you walk your walk and you talk your talk, that becomes your truth. And then we go to the second little grouping, and we have water. And I think that is what, number 61? Yeah, number 61. And then we have the 6 of Cups. So listen, we have the 6 of Cups several days in a row. Just want to say, putting it out there. And also, I have a 6 in each one of these piles. And a 666 is a angel number about harmony and, connection in that way. And I feel like, if the number 6 means something to you, but I feel like that's kind of what this is saying, is finding our harmony within ourselves. So this kind of being like our present energy. And we'll start with the water card. The invitation says, when water arrives, you're invited to watch your emotions. Know they are going to be changeable, and do not settle on conclusion at this time. If you feel joy, feel that fully. If you feel sad, allow sadness to move through you. Water invites you to see the ebb and flow of events and trust that you can ride the wave of opportunity when it arises. Natural flow is here. Go with it. So if we're looking on those cards in the past, well, I guess I could call it the past. I haven't quite figured it out, but whatever. So that situation where, we're working on that feeling of lack. A lot of times that's really what it is a wave of emotions. It's our response to things. It's also a lot about trust and having that childlike faith. Hence the Six of Cups over here. So I feel like with the Six of Cups and Judgment, and then we have the Page of Pentacles, which has been a theme in our readings lately too. I feel like this is saying having that childlike faith and wonder. And we're kind of having that revelation, right? I think of Judgment as, what they think of as revelation. Revelation isn't, and Judgment isn't like, we're all going to perish and then, leave this place. I feel like Judgment and revelation is we have that revelation. We have that understanding. It's like there is, we kind of put all these things together and it gives us that aha moment. It's an awareness. It's an awakening. It's that moment of wisdom that sometimes had to come through a shocking moment. But you pair that with the Page of Pentacles, and this is the apprentice. This is the young energy of wonder and exploration and learning. And you pair that with the Six of Cups, which is that nostalgia, that good feeling. I feel like this is telling us to really use those emotions to help us get through things, to use that childlike wonder to give us that faith that things are happening in our favor, right? Let it flow through you. Those moments are going to come when we kind of feel those moments of lack. I mean, trust me, I have those issues too. Being a full-time mom, worker, and, just trying to make it day to day, you get like that things, but then you're like, you know what? I know that Spirit's got my back, and I know I'm good. I know I'm good. And you got to tell yourself these things. These are the things we got to kind of keep telling ourselves. That's what affirmations are for. It's not like, sometimes I feel like people think, oh, well, that's just, wishful thinking. Well, you know what? Enough wishful thinking becomes a wishful truth, and then it becomes a truth, right? So live your truth, speak your truth, and pay attention to what truth you're speaking to yourself. I get a lot of advice like this when I listen to A Witch and Scythe a lot. She's really good about the mindset and understanding, how that creates your manifestations. And it's so true. Whether you want to look at it on the spiritual part or whether you want to look at it in how you feel about yourself and how that directs what you do in your day-to-day, it's all connected. And a lot of times I feel like we don't realize that. How you feel about yourself conducts the way that you walk and talk in your life and creates the next events after that. So anyway, then we go to the last little grouping, and we have the Blade. So there's a lot of pointy and I don't want to say it looks aggressive, but I don't feel that this is aggressive. And if you look, there's a lot of red and oranges in here. I feel like this is more about self-confidence and having that strength in your knowing who you are and your strength in yourself to stand up for yourself. And it doesn't have to be in a negative way. Standing up for yourself just means that you know who you are and you're not going to let things knock you down, right? So the first card, the essence of the Blade, says you are invited to draw your blade and use it. It is not auspicious to hesitate, to waste time in an idle talk, or to hide from the inevitable. Heaven and earth are aligned to support you in claiming your power. So take decisive action. Overcome your fear or hurting of others. Unsheath the blade and use it wisely. Now that sounds kind of, grumpy, but I don't think that's what this is talking about. In the essence of the blade in this book, it talks about how you can use it wisely to kind of cut distractions and cut things that are keeping you from being who you are, or it can be used in anger and hurt others. And I don't believe that this is what they're talking about. I feel like it's also, using your ability and your awareness, because a lot of times the blade is what? That's your sharpness and your ability to speak up in a confident way. This is your truth, right? A lot of time the sword of truth, right? So this is your truth. Don't be afraid to use your truth. If it hurts others, don't take that personally. If it's your truth and it bothers somebody else, a lot of times that means that it triggers them because that is their, that's kind of like their lesson, right? Like every time you get triggered by something, that's a little lesson. That's something that like, whoa, that kind of hurt. Or, oh, I took it this way. And a lot of times when we look at those moments, we realize that, that's your moment to kind of, take that inspiration for growth, right? That's your little thing to change that issue that's making you so sensitive to things that you don't need to be sensitive to. And so then we add the Page of Swords there, right? The Page of Swords is, that youthful ambition in intelligence. So, using that as your message too. It's also using your words. A lot of times the swords is using your words. So maybe this is telling us that some of us need to use our words in a certain way to kind of express ourselves. And then we have the Seven of Wands. A lot of times the Seven of Wands and the Nine of Wands, I know I always use them interchangeably as far as being protected, but this is more like about you protecting yourself as far as you know who you are. And I feel like this is also part of this message. This message is knowing who you are, not being afraid to express that because you're afraid it's going to hurt somebody or it's going to trigger somebody. That might be why you're supposed to give that message, right? If you feel strongly that it's your truth is your truth. And then we have the Six of Wands, our other six. And I feel like this is saying that with this, we are definitely going to be successful in this. This is something that maybe it will bring you success, or it's going to bring appreciation from others. This is something that is very needed, I feel. So I feel like this is telling people that you have a story, you have a truth. It's time to cut those limiting beliefs and, let your story be heard. It's going to be received by who needs to hear it. And those that get upset because they're hearing it, that's on them. That's not on you. And then I have 3 Herbal Astrology Oracles. And I don't know if you notice this, but if you combine the numbers, it's 369. I was like, that's pretty amazing. Because if you think about it, this is all about believing in yourself and then projecting that out into the world, right? If you exude confidence, like we're all beings that seem to feed off each other's emotions and energy. So if you're putting out good energy, people that are receptive are going to take that and they're going to put off good energy, right? So I feel like that's what this is saying. And maybe that's a stretch. I don't know. But we have Kava Kava with 48 and 4 plus 8 is 12, which ends up being a 3. And that's community. It's celebration, kinship with tribe, community, friendship, union, finding your chosen family. It's also Pluto and the moon. So this is those deep feelings, right? This is the deep transformational Pluto that's expressing itself in its spirituality and its emotions. I feel like this is saying that this community, whatever your community needs or your community is needing this. This is something that needs to be expressed so others can share it and express it themselves, right? And our second card is number 24, which 2 and 4 is 6. Tobacco and offering. Upright is power, divine gift, invocation, respect, deep alignment with will and purpose. And it is Mars and Pluto. Again, Pluto. But this is Pluto in action. So that's also part of the offering part, where what the knowledge that we have and the understanding that we have is a gift that we need to offer. And so then we go to the last card, which is number 45, 9, Mandrake, which, I thought was kind of interesting, is sensuality. This is Neptune and Venus. It's sensuality, discovering new forms of intimacy, finding inner beloved, expression of healthy sexuality and abundance. And I feel like this is part of it. It's understanding those feelings of lack. A lot of times that is where we feel like we're not good enough, or we're not, whether it's in a connection, but sensuality doesn't have to mean like sexual. It's also how you feel yourself in nature, how you feel yourself out in the world, and how you express that. And so I feel like learning how to do that and being your full self is really what this is talking about, and then expressing it for others to benefit. So I hope this meant something for somebody today. Whoever you are, you have a beautiful gift and you need to use it.